What's Chungking Express about? It's about love, loneliness, relationships, and small people in a big world, close in proximity, yet separated by emotional or physical boundaries. Throughout the movie, the characters are desperately seeking something or someone, and it keeps eluding them. At the very end, what you get is not resolution, but hope. It takes time, and it can get better. The movie is light-hearted and full of funny and relatable moments. In the first story, Cop 223 is born on May 1st, his ex is called May, and he unsuccessfully attempts to get over her with another girl called May. His ex dumped him on April Fool's, and he thought he'd give it a month until the joke runs its course. This bleeding sarcasm runs steadily throughout the movie. The scene of 223 sitting by Midnight Express, ringing up random girls he knew from school, is both funny and endearing in a relatable way. We've all felt that desperate at one point. In the second story, Cop 663 talks to his bar soap, lamenting its shape, and converses with his apartment, reflecting on his troubled state of mind. Faye kicks the bed in despair after she finds a long strand of hair as she lies in his bed inside the apartment she's been sneaking inside. 663 is seemingly dispassionate and nonchalant, almost naively unobservant. Faye is carefree and mischievous. She likes noisy music, she wants to have fun, and saves up to travel the world, but you also don't really know who she is. Proximity and chance encounters are a recurring motif. The characters are always seeking something or someone, and chance always plays a role in them interacting or just missing one another. Sometimes characters are really close, but miles apart, either physically or emotionally. As soon as the tension resolves itself when characters meet, something happens to pull them apart. And the crux of the movie, its emotional depth, happens inside the characters' heads in the moments when they're alone. We have to wait for the very end when Faye is sitting at the California bar to get a bit of insight on her character, aside from the infatuation with 663. The passage of time is captured in a beautiful, non-linear fashion. The cuts seamlessly move the plot forward. The distortion effects created by step printing, the low frame rate and slow motion movement isolates the characters and suspends them in space and time, taking you inside their heads and mimicking one's own state when in deep thought or daydreaming. The choice of music and soundtrack perfectly complement each scene. Uncertainty is a recurring motif. The characters are all in transit, like the planes frequently taking off and landing throughout the movie. This uncertainty affects how the characters think, how they dress, what they eat, where they go, and their attitude towards relationships and love. There's great symmetry and parallels in the movie. The characters bump shoulders, pass by, seek and are sought. The men are broken-hearted and desperate for love. The women are mysterious and charming. The scenes and instances are paralleled throughout the movie. The story is iterated with different tempo and circumstances, but the same structure. Throughout the movie, the characters lament how relationships expire, just like food. One day you like pineapple, the next it can be fish and chips or pizza, and that knowing someone doesn't stop them from leaving. In this aspect, I felt the movie lacked the most. In seeking to present its theme of lonely people in a big city seeking love against the backdrop of Hong Kong's chaotic world, it presented blank slates lacking substance. The movie doesn't resolve this cynical outlook. If anything, it leans heavily on it on both stories. By the end, we don't really know much about all four characters, which explains why one might end up feeling dissatisfied as the credits roll. But that's also the nature of the movie's physical space, the bustling world of Hong Kong, as well as the transitory element. Sometimes the destination is cancelled, either by chance or design. What the movie excels in is showing the desperate and lonely pursuit of love. Faye does things for 663 to make him move on from his ex and see her. As soon as he does, she leaves him, questioning what she truly wants and whether she's where she wants to be. Again, uncertainty. In the first story, 223 is dumped and seeks anyone to spend the night with. He promises to fall in love with the first woman who walks into the bar. There's nothing inherently romantic about such premeditated yearning, but then again, Chungking Express isn't about a romantic relationship. There's no kissing, No embrace, no cuddles or sex, except in a flashback shown after 663's girlfriend leaves him. A flashback that ends with a close-up on her face, foreshadowing the end of the relationship, with a model toy plane literally on her shoulder. A relationship that started 25,000 feet up in the air. Her breakup letter simply states, "Change of flight, your place is cancelled." I found myself wondering how 663's girlfriend broke up with him. Perhaps the very act of presenting choice of food led to a breakup, a realization that they didn't know much about one another, and there's plenty to choose from. 663 projects his feelings into his apartment, his physical space, which is a representation of his emotional space. As his physical space is slowly transformed by Faye, he starts to feel better and get over his ex. It's a brilliant way of weaving the characters' interactions. It's certainly a bizarre form of intimacy, hardly shown in cinema. As soon as 663's newfound love interest leaves, his ex returns. This time only briefly, as she's with a new guy. She tells him to throw her things away as she doesn't need them. He throws away Faye's letter on his way out, only to come back and get it. We never see him pondering the decision. What we see is a jump cut from a quiet, mild evening to pouring rain, beginning the transition to the parallel bar scene with Faye jumping 1 year. The transition is effortless and beautiful as the emotional tone changes. In the final scene, Faye asks where he wants to go, and 663 replies, "Wherever you want to take me." And that's what Chungking Express is about.